Hi, everyone. Have you ever set out to build a program and you're following one of those build your program and launch it in 30 days kind of things? And at the end of the month, you haven't got anything done and you feel horrible about yourself? Well, you're not alone, because I am here to tell you it takes a heck of a lot longer than 30 days to build a proper, lucrative, ongoing, profitable program. Because one of the things that they don't tell you, those gurus out there, is that they have a team, they have a system, they have a setup, and they usually have the funds to hire a lot of that out. But if you are just starting out and the majority of it is you ain't doing that in 30 days. I'm here to share with you how long it truly takes and what you need to plan for, budget for, and create for yourself so that you can create an amazing program that can add six figures to your bottom line. So for those of you that don't know me, I'm Tracy Blehm, and I am the founder and owner of Tracy Blehm Coaching, and my flagship program is Signature Program Mastery, which is a private one-to-one coaching and training program so that you can build that amazing program from start to finish. And in this video, I'm going to share with you what you need to be aware of and what you need to be prepared for in order to build your high six-figure, seven-figure program so that you are churning money and making huge impact. So right out of the gates, I'm going to share with you that when you are deciding to build an online program, which may be a full digital download, or it may be something that includes a bit of you live or you live in a group or one-to-one, it is going to take you anywhere from 3 to 6 months to build it. And I'm going to share with you why there's that huge difference, that 3-month difference here as we go through what it takes, what to prepare for, and the 4 main factors that can increase or decrease your time to build. Now, one of the very first pro tips that I want to kind of get into your head is that you are going to need to invest at the very least, an hour a day, 7 days a week, or 1 7-hour day away from work, away from your family, so that you are not distracted. Trust me, I've been doing this for many, many years, and anybody who's tried to go into work a bit early or work on it during the day or work on it at home, it doesn't matter how creative your threats are. If people interrupt you, you will still be interrupted repeatedly. And every time we're interrupted, it takes 20 minutes for us to get back focused and fully in flow again. So I always recommend go somewhere where there's nobody around. Go off-site, go to a library, go wherever, and that's a whole other video on how to make your stuff happen. So you need to know right out of the gates, if you don't have 7 hours a week to give for anywhere from 3 to 6 months, now might not be the time for you to build a program. So let's talk about some of the time additions that a lot of those gurus don't talk to you about that can make you feel like you're not doing a good job or you're not capable. So the first one would be an example of if you need to learn new technology. A lot of time, us holistic professionals, we are exceptional at our craft and our talents and all of that, but we might not be so exceptional when it comes to certain technologies. So you have to build in time to learn those technologies, or at the very least become familiar with them so you can hire out. So what I like to tell my clients is that for every new piece of software technology, you are probably going to have to add anywhere from 5 to 10 hours onto your timeline in order to familiarize, set it up, sign it up, register, whatever's required to get that software going. And then if you have to learn how to work that software before you can actually dive in and do the pieces that you need to through the software, you're probably looking at another 7 hours. If it takes a lot for you to pick up new technology, that's okay. Just add another 10 hours. So instead of 7 hours, you're looking at 10 hours so that you have a proper timeline. So another thing that you would have to add extra time into your program build for is if you don't have a set system to follow, if you don't have templates or checklists or even your course brand kind of thought out and put together, you're going to have to double the time that it would take someone who does have those things, because you're really creating from scratch and you need to be able to give yourself some creative flex time to breathe in order to develop all of that. So as I kind of mentioned before, if you don't have certain software accounts set up, such as Canva, an email service provider such as MailChimp or ConvertKit, if you don't have a payment gateway set up, which is things like PayPal, WooCommerce, Stripe, Square, all of those, you're going to need time to set that up, get all the back of house ready to go. In the case of your payment gateway, you're going to need to get in there and hook up your bank accounts. You're going to have to set up all your taxes, your invoicing, all of that kind of stuff. And that takes time. Now, you may have a team or an admin assistant that could kind of put that together for you, but there are some legalities and personal things that you, the course builder, will need to do yourself. So you need to add, again, another 3 to 4 hours per piece in order to get it set up before you can even start to learn how to use it or to build within it. Now, this is not to freak you out. Please, please, please don't freak out. I want you to be aware so that all of a sudden, when all this other stuff needs to be done that's not included in someone else's program on how to build an online course, you're not getting overwhelmed, burned out, or worse. Some people will freeze and they'll start avoiding doing anything. They will do anything else becomes more important than working on their online course, and it drags out. But if we know it up front, we can build those time blocks and buffers into our schedule to accommodate for it so that we can get it done easily. And I really want you to be aware of what all goes into creating a 6-figure successful online course and program. Because a lot of these gurus, again, they don't tell you these things, or they reveal them once you've signed up and go, oh, by the way, you need to do all of this. Or they don't tell you that. You have this program sitting there and you're like, now what do I do? So again, just write it down. This is what you need to do. Another example of things that aren't revealed to you up front is you're going to need things like policies and procedures. And those would include things like, what happens if someone signs up for your fully digital download program? Are you going to offer them a refund? Typically, here's a pro tip. If it's a full digital download with no access to you, no refunds, all sales are final. You need to state that somewhere. If someone is not performing or has become abusive or is breaking some of the rules of engagement, do you have the option to let them go, no refunds? Or do you let them go and refund them? You know, kind of like, here's your money back, we're through. You have to figure all of that out up front, and it has to be stated somewhere, either in a contract or on your delivery website or portal or whatever. All of those things need to be figured out. Another thing that a lot of gurus don't talk to you about is, do you have correct insurance? You can't just offer programs online without proper insurance. One of the key pieces of insurance is called errors and omissions. If you do not have errors and omissions, you are leaving yourself completely open for a lawsuit, possibly. Now, knock on wood, I have never been sued for any of my programs, but I've also had everything in place. So you want to look into that, and you need time to shop around to get the best pricing on that. Another piece that they don't talk about is, in your local area, in your municipality, do you require a certain business license? So for example, some municipalities, you have to have a business license even if you're selling online only products. If it is something where it's a portion online and a portion in person, you would need to have a certain business license. So you need to look into all of that. You also need to look into the local government taxation. Are you charging GST? For example, for those of us in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, we need to charge GST. What happens if someone from another country buys? Then do you charge GST? How does that work? You need to talk to your accountant, or in Canada, the CRA, to see what exactly is required, because you need to have all of that in place. When you set up your payment gateways, when you set up your sales pages, you're going to need to know those things. Now, again, not to freak you out, but this is really where a coach who specializes in building programs is a huge benefit, because they can tell you how to do all of this very easily, and so that you don't miss anything. So by the time you're done building your online program, you're launching, versus scrambling, trying to find that extra time or having to delay your launch because you didn't know you had to do that. So again, if you have never, ever built a program before, an online program before, you are looking at a solid 6 months to build your program. I don't care what anybody else says. I've been doing this for 20 years. I've taken a lot of people's programs just to see how they do it. And then I usually end up with clients, true story, from other people's programs because they're struggling because there's pieces missing. So you need to take a good look at, what are your time commitments? You know, what are your priorities? do you have the time to dedicate this consistently every single week so that you can build this out well? You do not want to invest any time and money if you're not going to be fully committed to doing this. And that is how you actually add that 6 to 7 figures into your income. So there are 4 main factors that play into whether you can increase the time it takes to build your program or decrease it. And that's really, again, I want you to have a realistic understanding of the time it takes to build a program so that you don't feel like a loser, like you're not doing it right or you can't get it done. But instead you're like, yes, I need to do this. So I need to add this many more hours into my program build. So number 1 is, and it's going to sound like me beating a dead horse because I say it in almost every video. Are you clear on your niche? The clearer you are on who you serve, what you serve them with, where their rock bottom is that has them pulling out their wallet and going, I'm done. I need this solved now. The faster it is to build your program, the faster it is to sell your program because you know exactly where they want to be and the fastest way to get them there. So then you're not overbuilding a program. You're not adding in things that they don't need. You are sharpening it. You are streamlining it. So it's point A to point B for them to get there. People pay for speed. Remember that. They do not pay for 5 million additions that they never get to. So then they start feeling like they're not doing it. And again, they freeze and stop doing it. We want speed. The faster you can get them from where they are now to the transformation they desire, the more money they are willing to pay. And I want you to remember, generic never sells as well or as high as specificity. So you do not want a generic program. You want a very specialized program where it's easy to find your people, to write your marketing message for them to have your program. So if you aren't really clear on your niche, what you want to do is add 15 to 20 hours to your client research. And this is going to include things like client interviews, formulating all the information that you got from those interviews, taking a good look, putting it all together, and then going, which of these pieces lights me up to serve them with? Because what you think they need and what they think they need can be very different things, and they will only pay for what they think they need. So the second factor is, are you building this on the side? Like, are you already working 40 plus hours a week, and somehow you're going to try and figure out where you can find 7 hours a week in order to work on this program? Is there certain things that have to take precedence ahead of time? And if that's the case, that's okay. If you can only do, 8 or 10 hours every 2 weeks, then you're going to extend your completion time, right? It's unrealistic then to say, I'm going to have my program done and launched, ready to go in 6 months. It might be 8 months. It might be 9 months. I've had some people where it's taken a year because they have so many irons in the fire that to them are so important. So you need to factor that in as well, right? 3 months to build your program in 3 months would mean that you can dedicate 2 to 3 days a week on it, where that's all you're doing. You are not doing anything else. You are not serving clients. You're not doing staff meetings. You're not doing this. You're not doing this. It's just straight up working on your program. So you need to take a good look at, where can I fit the time in? And do I have a tendency to fall out of my commitments? Do I have a tendency to start something and then not work on it for a couple of weeks and then I jump back in? Or, how does that work for you as an individual? It's not right or wrong. It's just how you operate. But be honest with what other commitments take priority and what will you truly commit to. The third thing that affects our timing of completion is, have you written content before? Have you written workbooks before? Have you written sales pages? Have you written out those emails? Have you put this stuff together? Because that is something that you cannot hire out. You can hire out the design. You can hire out the copywriter to make it look better if you have the funds. But initially, all of that content, that writing, needs to come from you. Don't be scared. It's very easy to write about what we know. So again, that goes back to that niche, right? Making sure we know what we're writing about and how to get them there. But it can take time. And if we really are freaked out about it, it's very much a head game as well. If we're freaked out about it, we may really avoid doing it or stall out a lot. So every week that we stall out, writing out what those infographics need to have on them, or writing out that script for that video that we need to record as part of our training, again, that shifts our end date, right? And we don't want to be upset or hating on ourselves for it. We need to be aware that that's our tendency. We need to be aware that we need to give ourselves some extra time to slide into that, to learn that, to speed up with that. It does get faster as you go. And for my clients, I have a specific sequence that you do it in with templates so that it speeds you right up. So you need to figure out what works for you. So like, for example, my pro tip is I know I can do 2 hours of writing in a day and then I'm mush, like my brain is leaking out of my ear. So what I will do is I will block 2 hours. I'm really sharp in the morning after a couple of cups of coffee. And that's when I do my writing. So when I'm building something new, the first 2 hours of my day, away, usually at a library, or here's my secret, I like to go down by the river and write. I do my 2 hours of writing of content, then I get into my regular day and my other commitments so that it's fresh, it's exciting, and I'm not overdoing it. Because if I try and push it into 1 7-hour day, the stuff after 2 hours is not good. Like when I go back and reread it, I'm like, holy moly, this is terrible, and end up rewriting it. So it's a bit of a waste of time, which adds time on my back end. So figure out what will work for you. Build that in, build that buffer in. So number 4 is, do you have the funds to hire portions out? Now, if you don't, that's okay. You just build the buffer in. But if you do, here is some areas that you can hire out and the time that can be saved where you can be writing content or doing other things to build your program. So things that can be hired out are video editing. And depending on the size of your program and your skill set, this can save you 20 to 30 hours. Creating your slides for your videos. Depending again on the size of your program and your skill set, that can save you 8 to 15 hours. Automating all of your program for its delivery and how that will all work. Again, size and skill set, this can save you 15 to 20 hours. Designing and producing your digital workbooks and guides and checklists, anything that they can download and print off, this can save you 20 to 25 hours. Now, here's the caveat, like I mentioned before, you have to write the content for the people and provide that to them in a certain way so they can design it for you. So you're not going back and forth, because if you don't give them a fully completed kit, like here it is, here's what it needs to say, you make it pretty, that includes your coloring and your branding and logos, it will cost you double if you go back and forth too many times. So there's another pro tip for you. Building your landing pages, your thank you pages, and connecting them to your payment gateway, again, can save you 15 to 20 hours. Now, during this time, this does not mean that you get weeks off. It means you are working on the other pieces as you go. But that, again, can shorten that 6-month time frame right down if you can hire people out. But you do have to block in time to hire people in order to do the work for you. Now, please, 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 based on the thousands of people that I've helped build programs, do not hire a family member who's watched some YouTube videos, or this person over here who says they could kind of do it on the side and help you out later. 9 times out of 10, 9.8 times out of 10, people have had to hire someone else or start over because of the shoddiness of the work that's come through. So if you're going to hire well, not expensive, hire well, not someone who just kind of does this on the side or thinks they can figure it out, okay? This is going to be a 6 to 7 figure program for years and years and years and years. Invest correctly for yourself. Trust me, it'll save you a lot of time and heartache. So if you're ready to get going on building your profitable online course, I have a profitable course building checklist for you. It's a 1-pager and it tells you exactly what you need to do in the sequence. The overalls, there's many components in between depending on what you're building, so that you are going through it in sequence so that you have all your pieces that you need in order to create this beautiful creation of yours that's going to impact people and heal them and transform them. And if you're looking for how to pick a profitable course topic, I invite you to check out next week's video where we're going to go through exactly that. And I look forward to seeing you there. Don't forget to subscribe. Cheers.